Good to
Jesse,
go.
you're up.
All
Yep.
right. Well, looks like a small and intimate group today. Welcome everyone to our August SCIP session. And as always, we love to see your smiling faces and to have an opportunity to network with each other across all of Stanford medicine. As you see today, we've got lots of spaghetti going on. So hopefully you had a chance to have lunch. Otherwise, you might be hungry for this next 15 minutes. But I just want to do a quick overview of our time today. So we've got an introduction to our expert, Karen Ellis, who will be talking to us about spaghetti mapping today for tool time. And then we've created a little bit shorter of a breakout this time because we want to spend a bit more time doing a large group reflection. So we'll have 10 minutes this time to do a recap. We're really looking forward to hearing all of your thoughts from your smaller breakout sessions. And then we will follow our typical standard like wish wonder and then some next step in closing. So without further ado, I actually would like to do a quick plug for our Lean Healthcare Academic Conference that's coming up in October. So a 2-day, full-day conference on site at Arriaga. So looking forward to getting back in person this year. For me, it'll actually be my first time attending in person since I've only been here for 2.5 years. So if you haven't already, please, I would encourage you to sign up and register to attend. There's going to be quite a bit of really great abstracts of academic medical centers improving together for all. And we've got poster presentations, small group breakouts, and just a really great opportunity to connect with other lean-minded individuals. So the website there, you can take your phone out and grab that QR code if that's easier, and then let us know if you have any questions. Okay. So I think I'm going to kick it over to Michael. I lost. Yeah. Are you here?
Am I still here?
Am I still here?
Yeah, I hear you. I don't see you. All right, Michael.
It kicked me off. All right, good. Well, hi, everybody. So today we're going to have a review of the spaghetti diagram. So Karen is going to give that. And Karen, of course, is the manager of the PI team. And in a prior life with a doctorate in physical therapy, was directly on the care team. So she's going to present that to us. Now, all of us, whether we are focused on quality, access, affordability, we really practice at seeing the opportunities. And I like this tool because it really serves many functions. It can, of course, illustrate a problem. Illustrating a problem is really useful in change management, and it's also a powerful tool for driving change. So with that, I'll turn it over to Karen Ellis, DPT.
Just not going to get away from it, are you? All righty. Well, thank you. Thank you all for asking for this presentation. Thank you, Ryan. When you saw this in Write class, and I don't know, you saw something and just like, oh, we should talk about that. I'm relatively informal when I present, and also like to have a lot of conversation back and forth. So I think the first thing I need to ask is, what movie is that from?
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I love that movie. That's so funny. So, whenever I said, well, what kind of a presentation do you want from a spaghetti map session? And Ryan said, talk about why you thought of it, talk about why you choose it, talk about kind of what goes into the decision. And really, when it comes to any observations that I'm doing, when I'm going to go out to the Gamba, I always have these three sheets with me. I have a spaghetti diagram, I have a time observation sheet, I have a percent load chart, or some people know it as a takt time, cycle time bar chart. Those are kind of like my foundational tools. And then as I get to observing, then I'm like, oh, this is what I want now. And I just start to kind of pull out what I need. And then second and thirdly, if someone says, oh, we're doing a 5S, well, it's a no-brainer for me. I'm doing a spaghetti diagram. I know that's the tool of choice right there. And then it goes back to, okay, what is purpose? Once I got the spaghetti diagram, how and what am I going to observe? And that's based on the purpose. Am I going to look at one person? I'm going to look at all people. Am I going to look at a primary flow? It may not be a person. It might be something else flowing. Do I want to observe a certain number of patients coming through? Do I want to observe for a given time period? Do I want to observe to figure out the steps in the process? So there's all sorts of things that I'm thinking about, but it always goes back to purpose. So I have two examples I want to show you. So the first one was a 5S. This is the first project I took on when I became a part of Stanford Medicine Children's Health a year ago, or a little bit over a year and a half ago. It was to 5S this physical space in here. The layout and the flow was just terrible for the work that they were doing. And so when I went into that space, did my crude layout. And then of course I always, got fussed at if I didn't, by senseis, if I didn't fill out the top part. What is, tack time? What is the demand? What's the total time available? What, the date and time, very important, because I always want to go back for any subsequent things to see the exact same date and time and recreate the crime so that I can get apples to apples. So you can see I wasn't sure this time when I was looking. I was like, okay, what do I want to look at here? Do I want to look at one person, which is that top one? This is just one person from the hours of 6 to 7 and their movement around the room. And then I came back later and said, well, now I've got 2 people or more than 2 people in that room. And I thought, well, I'm going to track everybody and see if it tells me something different. Which it really didn't tell me anything different. It told me there's congestion right there. So here is that space that I've been showing the last couple of slides. So this is where I kind of want to turn it over to you. From your PI lens and your waste lens, where does your eye get drawn to? I will say this is the area that this person primarily works. This is where they do all their prepping and everything like that, is right there.
And they get a lot of things from fridge B.
Yeah. Absolutely.
syringe
And it's over here, and the syringe cart. So yeah. Oops. I'm a little off here, but yeah, absolutely. They get a lot. I'll show this in the next slide. They definitely get a lot of things and they cross over a lot. The other thing that I wanted to show in this one, you might be able to see little light numbers in there. That's my steps. As I'm saying, they walked here 1, over here 2, over here 3, and then that's how I come over here to my observation sheet and determine what steps I'm actually looking at, and then which steps I might be able to help them reduce their time in. But yeah, so you guys uncovered that this space right here was kind of the problematic area, considering this is where they did the work. Out of curiosity, would there be another space or another part of this that you would kind of look at or jump to and ask a question?
They went out the door.
Yeah, they did have to go out the door to deliver stuff. So you're absolutely right. Could somebody come and pick it up? That would be another question.
There's quite a lot of movement too to the supply core.
Yep,
And that's
the
far
other-
away.
Yeah, that's the other one that I saw was having to come over here to get the supplies. And so really when it came down to it, what they said was we only need 1 freezer in there. So we took a freezer out, swapped some fridges to bring the fridge over closer to them, moved a wow, because if you remember in this one right here, they were running back and forth to the wow. It didn't show up in this one, but it showed up in this one. So they do need the wow closer to them. So did all that, and this is what we came up with. So now I want to ask you, does it look better or worse or the same? We brought the supply cart over here. We brought the fridge over here, the wow in the workstation.
Their movement is consolidated closer together. So they're not moving too far and all over the place now.
Yeah. So what I ended up seeing here, when I came back to do this observation, I saw a second part of the observation that I hadn't seen before. And what was happening is they were going to the fridge. They thought they needed the supplies closer, but really they were going to the fridge more often than the supplies. And so we said, oh crap, So I think we probably need to move these supplies. And the other thing we noticed was this door doesn't open properly. They have to take the extra step to open it with the left hand. And if we could just take fridge A and fridge B and flip them around, they would open up perfectly the way that you want them to open up. So went back again. So yeah, a little bit better, but we could do better. And so this was the end result. We ended up overhead 5S'ing all the supplies and creating a restocking system. So now they really don't even need that supply cart as much. So this is the same amount of time as this observation. And so you should see that the movement is less in that last one. Is that what you guys are seeing too? Or you all, I should say. So this is just kind of the project overall. And you can see now when we switch to fridge, they open up correctly. But really what we looked at with the gathering of supplies and the storage and back and forth to the fridge, they were at 1 minute and 50 seconds. Whereas after everything was changed around and we completed the 5S, it went down to 18 seconds. So they were able to reduce their time just by moving things around. And what was really fun was just having them involved in creating this. So these are the actual workers in the space doing that. So that was what made that fun. So now I want to go into the one that Ryan got to see as part of a RIGHT project. And there's a lot going on around that RIGHT project, but one of the things that I noticed when I went there to do an observation, their cycle times were greater than their tack time for the certain hours of the day. And they were wondering, and then of course the appointment time is even less than the than the cycle or the tack time, but we won't even talk about that right now. So I said, well, we can't even get people in and out on time if we can't even keep up with tack within our own cycle. And so this is what the lab looked like before. Label printers, table, cart, the patient would come in. Patient is yellow. Patient comes in and sits down. Family comes in and sits down here in the chair right across the way. And then there's a nurse over here doing a set of tasks, and then a nurse over here in the gray doing another set of tasks. So you have two nurses in this space. Let's see. Oops, let me go back to that. So obviously we can see that this space looks a little funky because her computer's over here or his computer's over here. And so, but this is where their work is. So they're working back and forth and they're always checking their orders and back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Do you see any other space in there that looks a little congested?
Are they sequential operations?
They're all moving at the same time. Yes. This is two patients. Two patients. This is all the movement.
But do they do steps?
Huh?
Do they do one step and then the next and then the next and the next to prepare to do what they're doing?
They're doing them in tandem. This is working on one thing while this is working on the other thing. That's why they're able to meet their tack time, because they've got two people working the process. Otherwise, they wouldn't meet it. So like, one of the things that they said was, I feel like I'm always crossing in front of the patient. And they are. This person in gray was always crossing over here to throw something away, to throw sharps away, and to get something out of the cart. This blue person was coming over here to get the label printers and bring them back. And then there's that little section right there. So those three places, and I'm going to show you why my husband was irritated with me. So I don't know about you all, but sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm just like, that's what I've been thinking about. And I had to get up out of bed and write it down before I could like do anything for the day. And so I started getting this thought around a U-shaped cell, introducing that concept of U-shape. And so I presented this U-shape idea to them, and they were able to, basically what they did was, there's a computer off the screen, and they thought, well, if we bring the computer over here, bring the printer over here, we can create two workstations. And so that's really what happened. Now you have a workstation here of the person that draws the lab, a workstation here of the person that processes everything. And so in creating that, it kind of did that little U. They could just go from the chair to the wow to the cart supply and just kind of do that little movement back and forth. The printer labels here, everything that they needed was here and their wow was right there. And they do have to take it out the door and send it to the lab. But the cool thing about it was there was a tube station not even being used that was much closer. And and finally the girl said, why don't we use that tube station right across the hall instead of that one that goes right down there? I'm like, there's a tube station, it's closer. And so building that into the process, the result of that was before, with all the mess, it was about 19 minutes and 39, I'm sorry, 19 minutes, 39 seconds. And then post-intervention, we were able to remove about 2 minutes and 5 seconds per patient, bringing the cycle time down to 17 minutes and 34 seconds. And so, we told them it may not sound like much, but when you actually say, how many times do I do that a day? How many times do I do that in a month? How many times do I do that in a year? It ended up being about 19.8 days a year in time savings, just by moving things around. And we couldn't have gotten there without that visual, without that spaghetti diagram, and just being able to play with that. And maybe not even always landing on perfect at the beginning, and being able to look at it as at another iteration and go, can we make it even better? And so with that, I'm gonna stop. And so do I turn it back over to you, Jesse, for the breakout?
Yeah, sure. I think we're gonna use our mural board. And so I'm Selena or Ryan, if you could drop that link in for us to get on. We've got the discussion questions in there. So I think we'll go into pairs. Is that about what we're split as? Selena, or do you have us in threes, perhaps?
Group of threes.
Groups of three. All right, perfect. So yeah, so we'll take about 15 minutes, I think. You cruise through that presentation, Karen. Thank you.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I was just like, I don't know. I feel like I'm taking a long time, but
No, it was great. And so we've come up with a few discussion questions for you to talk about in your groups of three. And then, as I mentioned, we'd like you to come back together in this larger group for a recap, because we're really hoping to share some of the learning across the entirety of our group here today. Small but mighty 14 of us. So links in the chat, I think. Navigate to your team on the mural board once you get split into breakouts here. And if you don't know who you're with, please take some time to introduce yourselves and get to know each other a bit as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing you out there.
Okay, and make sure also to,
Everybody left.
and they're gone. Never mind. All right.
I didn't realize they went so quickly.
All right, well, we'll take, since we're still in here,
Mhm.
we'll take room or team 4. We'll be team 4.
Okay.
We don't want a group to record.
Well,
No,
we
you're
are
right.
the group that's being recorded.
Oh, we are 4. Just kidding. We just don't move.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're getting recorded. And if you think group 4, team 4 wasn't assigned, that's fine.
There's no team 4.
Okay, perfect.
We'll be
Hey,
it.
Tiff,
Hey, I got a question. Which group am I supposed to be in?
you're with us.
Yeah, you're here.
Oh,
team
good.
four.
Okay.
You don't have to go anywhere.
All right.
Although we could move you to room 1. They only have 2 people. So actually, let me.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yes,
go
I'll
ahead and
do
do that.
room
Someone must
4.
have dropped off.
There you go. So you can join with them.
Yes.
Right.
see you, bye.
Hi, Tiffany.
Okay, good. All right, well, let's jump into this. I loved that. I loved that. I thought
Yes.
that was so good. And you see why I asked her to do it, because I thought this is a tool that I know I've used before, but not to the rigor that Karen had used it. And so I just love the details that she went into. So for me, when or where have I used spaghetti diagrams mapping? I've used it in Flow, but I haven't used it that much. It is not one of my go-to tools that I've used. When I've used it, I have liked it, but I've always wondered how I could improve, I guess, the utility of it for me to be able to know how it's going to help me problem solve. So hearing Karen share the way she did it really is helpful to me. So that's me. I haven't used it actually that much.
Great. I think you hit on a couple of the questions because we're looking for like what's getting in your way for using it as well. So feel free to add your post-it on there too, Ryan.
I will.
Keep that
Yeah.
for my friends. How about you, Michael?
Spaghetti diagrams. Well, I'm a little bit like Karen. It's always, if only just a blank sheet of paper along with my percent load chart and time observation forms. I have it with me pretty much all the time. Getting ready to use it. I just met with Barry and one of the surgeons, and they were talking about how, he really wants to be able to do many more of the 10-minute cases in a day, right? He does 10-minute cases, and he says, I could do 20, I could do 30, and all I'm allowed to do now is 10. It's like, okay, let's look at what's going on with the flow of teams, what they're doing. So, gosh, I've used it in really almost everywhere. Cath lab, ED, a lot in the ED. I've seen it useful, really, really useful in the ED, OR, SPD. Gosh, almost anywhere you go, I have a storied history. I've been a lot of places.
Do you know everyone, Michael? I'm sorry. We kind of skipped by the introduction piece. I don't know how well you know Selena or Ryan.
We've met.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Awesome. How
I've
about you,
never
Selena?
used it. I've never used it before, and it's very helpful to see like in action where everyone's going to and where the time waste can be, without even realizing that, there's time wasted, because something's on the wrong shelf or something is a couple feet away when it could be closer to something else. So I found that insightful.
Great. That's awesome.
Jesse, one of the things I have found is useful for me when I'm using this tool is if they have a list of the work, I use the work, they do this, and this. That sometimes that will guide me in the actual process of building it, right? So I know where to look, right? Oh, you're going to be doing this step, okay, and then that helps me with kind of the knowing how to observe it and get it documented.
Yeah, it kind of maybe takes away some of the chaos of the direct observation because you kind of know the process. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So there's really working in tandem between those two. That's great. For me, in practice, a few times, like you mentioned, also within the emergency department, I was doing some flow improvements there as we were thinking about our, short stay, long stay type patients. And then primarily, I get to teach about it in some way. So trying to just promote it as, fairly simple, I guess, so it's not complicated. Like Karen showed, she just tore a piece of paper out of her notebook and started scribbling some lines down. And, I think it takes more than one time doing the observation, and I love the color and all that too. But the way I like to teach it, with people doing one like real time, watching a video or some kind of scenario, just so that they have a practice doing it. So it's kind of fun in that way.
So Michelle, you just joined us. Michelle, I know you jumped in late. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the tool time, but we're talking about when we've used spaghetti mapping. So I'm curious, actually.
Okay.
I know you just got in, but I'm curious if you've used spaghetti mapping and what's been your experience with it. You there, Michelle? You were there. Maybe she dropped off. All right. Okay.
How's our timing, Selena? I'll see the countdown.
Oh, I just put it on my phone. We have 8 minutes.
Oh, okay. Still great. Thank you.
Michelle, are you back? I saw you.
No, she dropped off.
Okay. All right. So let's see, we haven't used it. Why not? What are the barriers? I don't think there's that many barriers to using it. I think it's a pretty simple tool. It's just a matter of, for me, of why I would choose this over other tools. I like how Karen used it with the 5S process. I think that's really, really good, tying it to that. And I love the way she used it within the right project when we're talking about tack time and cycle time and trying to fit it all together, and how do we do that, and getting a good visual on it. I also love the way that it's uses the from the bird's eye perspective on the situation. It really helps you to see kind of the traffic patterns, you know. And she also referred to it as the, well, she didn't exactly say the crime scene, but she said go back to the crime scene. And I think that's really good concept. You know, that really hit me. That term really stuck with me. So I think it's really good. Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I haven't used spaghetti mapping, so definitely glad to learn anything I can.
Okay. All right. Good.
Is this a breakout room that we're in right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't able to join earlier.
You're
We're
fine.
recording, so we can send you the link, Michelle.
Perfect. I figured that too.
I do know one barrier I hear often is kind of overcomplicating it. I think, Michael, you and I talked about this with Karen, is people will request like the blueprint of the building, or they want to have like the official map of the
Oh,
space
yeah.
that they're working in, instead of just drawing like a rough schematic of the area, you know. So I think our our ability to occasionally overprocess things sometimes gets in the way of our use of doing, something pretty simple. So,
You know, that's interesting, because, when my last role I was in, I was looking for just that. I was looking for blueprint concept so I could do this sort of thing. And a lot of places, I found that they have for most rooms in the fire exit picture, of where the exit doors are. So you can take a picture of that, and that can be your your blueprint or your space. Things like that. There are a lot of easy ways to get the get kind of the layout that I didn't always think about. And so, sometimes they're really right in front of our face and we don't even think of it, so yeah, make it simple. It's all about making it simple.
Yeah,
Good.
I'm looking at some information about it, so I have some idea what we're talking about. And Ryan, just from our projects in ICDP right now, I feel like the patient transport project might benefit from this type of analysis.
Absolutely.
Since it's geographic as well as processes.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a really nice, and it's a nice visual to be able to tell the story, which is, I don't know who wrote that. Was that you, Jesse, maybe? But it does help us to tell the story as we move from, the improvement to now operations and sharing it with others. So it's a really nice tool for that.
yeah, that was not me, so I'm not sure
Oh. All right, well.
who added that. Michael, looks like, yeah, great.
Jesse,
like
I
the
just want to ask you,
storytelling
did
from
you
the
wear,
change management?
oh, go ahead,
Sorry,
Mike.
go ahead. No, go ahead, Selena. No.
No, it's not related. I just wanted to know if Jesse wore her yellow shirt today on
I
purpose.
didn't, but as soon as I threw up my spaghetti, I was like, oh, I guess I'm in the spaghetti.
That's an important
funny.
question to answer. Glad you asked it.
Go ahead,
Go ahead,
Michael.
Michael.
Oh, I said it at the beginning, but I think that so often a big part of our projects is really change management and, helping people, really understand why the change is needed. I remember one time the team built a NICU, and it was giant, like, brand new big giant hospital. And, you know, the nurses were traveling 200 steps to the Pyxis, right? And so we use the spaghetti diagram to show them, you know, we need to buy more Pyxis, right? Your nurses are spending half their time walking. So I think it's a good simple tool. And I often use it not without the actual diagrams, because if we're going, you know, down the elevator in two floors, it's like, okay, this is the route we're going. And then, you know, later you can get the actual, you know, architectural drawings and things like that. But yeah, I think it's a good change management tool.
I liked the rigor that Karen presented it, and I'm not seeing it like that either. And it sounds like your team does it with the times of each element, each time step. And so each step is numbered, and then each time it's done, there's the time element in addition to the lines. I've used the lines and tracking that, but I've not done the combination of the two. And it seems like it makes perfect sense. Like, why? Of course you do that, but I hadn't done it like that. So I love how that was all paired together.
Mhm.
And I know that we've asked for the template to be shared. So if you have that template, I'd love to be able to share it both here, but also online when we add it to our website.
I knew people would ask, and we asked. We actually, I don't think, unless you found something, Michael, we have a Stanford Medicine branded version. I think you could see on hers, a couple of them she just Googled.
Yeah, well,
For
that's
full
fine.
disclosure, we don't have a branded one, I don't think, but I think
That's
pretty
okay.
easy enough we could get something together.
Yeah.
I love what you're saying
I
about
thought-
the second sheet too, and creating a measure, because we can see the movement, but until we start to time it or in distance or, you know, steps or something like that, it really helps the team see their work as a process. Because when, you know, if we just jump right to process mapping, it's not as easy for them to visualize the work, I don't think so. Sorry, Michael, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think that LEI on their website, they have a few tools.
Oh,
I want to say they don't have this one because I grabbed a couple of the other LEI tools.
Well, I can work with Karen, or you can work with Karen to get us that. It doesn't have to be a specific branded tool, but something that we can iterate on. I did appreciate it though, that she shared a tool, and which gets to the point of, it doesn't matter what tool, so long as it's usable.
Yeah.
I liked a lot about what she shared.
Yes. Everyone's coming back now. Okay, we're back.
Oh, I guess we're back.
Jakaria, you look surprised.
Because we got snatched when we were trying to figure out who was going to report out.
Oh, shoot.
That's okay. We'll just all talk. We were having fun.
That's great. Yeah, so this is why we wanted just a bit more time, because I know that I think this topic kind of generates a lot of good discussion and opportunity to share best practice and some of the benefits and things. So yeah, let's just do like a round robin of each of the 4 areas. I don't know if you want to go first, Jakaria, which team you were on.
Am I going first, or is Tiffany going, or is Marcelo going? I'm looking at them to come off mute. Okay, it looks like they're laughing at me.
I don't mind taking question 1.
Okay, perfect.
Hi everybody, I'm Tiffany Ennis, the PI fellow. So when or where have you used spaghetti diagrams in mapping? I stayed in a clinical space with Karen. We were at the Bass Center, and that was probably my first experience seeing what this looks like. I was pretty shocked. I didn't even know this was a thing, but it was great how Karen really walked me through it and explained it. And I really feel like as frontline leaders, we can definitely use this. And then also Marcelo had said sterile processing unit. Oh, sorry, Jakaria, I think you said sterile processing unit.
I can go for the next one. If you haven't used it, why not? My background is not in patient care or clinical background. So I'm thinking about how to apply this process to physical spaces. So things like existing workflows in my department to try to make them more efficient, or just to learn what are our flow points in our daily routine.
I'll take, and thank you, both of you, because you just jumped in, loving it. So the third one, what are the big benefits or wins from a staff perspective? We just thought that a lot of times when you work in a space all the time, you don't realize how messed up it really can be. So having an outside perspective definitely opens eyes to get insight on the footprint and how we operate. And then it sparks creativity and curiosity to say, well, what else can we fix? We didn't even see that. And it was right under our noses. So we had a really, really spirited discussion, but I'm excited to see what Marcelo comes with, because we always think of it as a physical space tool, but being able to use it in digital spaces is fun as well. So that's our group report out.
Excellent, thank you. Team 1. Team 2. Any volunteers for sharing either highlights or, okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm the performance improvement consultant at Tri-Valley. And our group, it was me and Dot, and then we also had Karen in our group. So we probably spent half the time picking her brain if we had the professional in our group. But both Dot and I hadn't had the chance to use a spaghetti diagram yet, although we had both seen it used in action. And I mentioned that similar to one of the examples Karen gave about the lab, there's definitely an opportunity here with lab phlebotomy to use a spaghetti diagram, because they have also mentioned having some issues in their workspace as far as not having enough space and different ergonomic issues with their supplies. So this will be the perfect opportunity to use this type of diagram.
Excellent.
Yes. And Dot or Karen, you want to do the next one?
I'll take the next one. If we haven't used it, why not? And what are the barriers to using it? Just not quite sure how and when to use it, and realizing that it can be used for more than just one thing. It's often used for just, determining the steps of a process or whatever. But it can be used to just understand, workflows, just making a process visual. There's just all sorts of possibilities. So just having it there in the toolbox, that's why I said it, I take it with me everywhere I go, because I can just pull it right out and start doing something with it.
Great, thank you.
I
Big
can
benefits
speak
from
to the.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Well, I realized I was double muted, so I apologize. So benefits, it was really nice. Karen shared how it really can share a different perspective. So the staff, like we get to see what the staff is seeing, and vice versa. And it allows them to see the possibilities of, hey, if this isn't working for you, this is how we actually can consider moving it, or we can do something about it. And so that I think is, just allowing the staff to be heard, their concerns to be heard, and actually being able to do something about it, and them being able to do something about it. So really, again, that empowerment and ownership and accountability.
That's excellent. I think it seems, to my perspective, is that it's an approachable tool as well. So it's maybe not as scary as some of the other things we might kind of take out of our toolkit with our new learners or staff engagement. Thank you. Team 3, any highlights from your experience and your breakouts? How you've used it? Why not?
Kitchen.
What?
I saw Joy's when designing my kitchen.
Joy's sneaking one in at the very end under the. I think we should start with Joy since she threw that in there at the last second.
Okay, sure. So we had really good conversation, which you could see across our whole line. But we've used it in a number of different instances. One, as Karen had shown when she in 5Sing. We talked about that we haven't done it in ages since before the pandemic. And there were some other cool examples. Oh, I forgot to say, I had Melody and Sherry in my group. And so Melody did some rearranging after they moved to a new location and realized that it wasn't going to work as is, and then they had to resort. And Sherry had one where trying to figure out how do we get nurses to spend more time actually working on patient care and not on searching for things. And so that was really cool. And then potentially radiology work. The one that I just snuck in was like, I was thinking more about Melody's, and I was like, wait a minute, I really did do one. I like sketched out what my kitchen could look like and where I would have to walk. And I decided where the cabinets went and what supplies went where based on my sketches.
Nice. You did it before the fact, Joy.
Before the fact, I did.
Very good.
That's where would you say you know you're improvement professional or nerd when
Oh yeah. I am in the right job, no question.
Jerry, do you want to take this one? You had some really nice thoughts on this middle section.
Sure. And to Melody's comment, yeah, I recently 5S'd my my dish cupboard, and I do, Joy, put my stuff in my kitchen based on like kind of in my head motion waste and where it needs to go where. So I do the same thing. But you know, we had some good discussion on if we haven't used it, why not? And although we'd all use it to an extent, we were realizing opportunities to use it more and why we might not have done it in the past. So I was just thinking about some of the work done for our respiratory care department on their handoff. They did this weird thing where they would start at the board and they would walk with somebody to the unit. They would find a closet and they might have to go to another space to actually just get report in the morning, and hadn't thought of showing that to them. Like we could see the insanity of it and we could tell them, but I don't necessarily think that they really like got it, which I think either Melody or Joy will probably speak to the benefits of the 5S, but just like after the thought thinking, oh, there's opportunity in existing work to do it again. There's some opportunity, like when we're searching through Epic and maybe some of the steps that we're doing in there and like the going back and forth, I think is what that comment was. Why we don't use it, you know, as we switch to a more remote support system during the pandemic, we're oftentimes like process mapping or coaching, right, via our kind of Zoom capabilities, and likely not in there to actually see the workflows and realizing like, as we're watching it, we wouldn't expect the folks doing the work to know to use it because it's the craziness of their work and it's how they're used to doing it. We as the improvers, when we're physically there in Gemba, can see it, but you know, with less time in Gemba, we're likely not seeing those opportunities. I think was a little reflection for us, or maybe not familiar with doing it as often, not a well-used tool, and it's probably just not one of people's go-to tools in Gemba. They probably quickly go to a process map and think that they, you know, can drive out the waste using that, but not realizing like, no, that's the part of, you know, we teach A3 thinking, it's the go to see is like one of the steps, but I think that's oftentimes an overlooked step in the process, more collecting current state. Melody, Joy, things to add?
Yeah, no, that was perfect, Sherry. One of the benefits, big wins from the staff perspective, obviously going through this exercise can really reduce the waste, the crowding around, as we saw in Karen's diagrams. And really just, as Sherry mentioned before, seeing that insanity of the workflow sometimes and being able to put it down on paper and showing that to the staff so they're in it, they're feeling it, they're doing it, but they're not really maybe seeing it until it's on paper, and really just trying to reduce that. Joy and I both heard Sherry say emotion waste, but just that emotion waste, but we can identify with that emotion waste as well too, and trying to eliminate that from the insanity, and that really leading to staff engagement, seeing that waste and then really wanting to remove it once they see it down on paper.
Fantastic, thank you. And our final group in the last few minutes here, which myself and Ryan and Michelle jumped on and Selena was in there. I'll take the first one. So we've used it primarily with training. So that was me. You know, I said I do like to teach spaghetti diagrams as a simple tool for learning to see waste and get some kind of measurable baseline, either in steps or in time or distance and things like that. So that's sometimes, but I also did some observations within the ED as we were thinking about our short stay, long stay patients and how to move them more efficiently through organization. Also looks like, you know, sparingly a few times and definitely in the OR, Michael has used this in his past life.
Yeah, I'll take the next one. So having used it, why not? So I was saying that I haven't used it because, I mean, I've used it, but not a ton because it's not really been my go-to tool, and haven't seen how I can use it to solve problems. I love how Karen tied it to the time motion, and, you know, tracked each step and the time elements of each. Really enjoyed that, plus the tying it to 5S, how it was all connected. It really, really worked well. And I also love the template that she used. So that would certainly reduce some of the barriers. And I know that the template wasn't like some kind of branded template, but we're still going to try to find out which one she used and get it on the website or get it to all of you. Also, we talked about delay in getting the official map of the room. So we talked about alternatives to that, just sketching something out real quick, not having to have it perfect, or even using those, you know, the fire maps on the, you know, that they have in most rooms of that, those things. You could take a picture of that and use that as your template, or the escape route ones. You know what I'm talking about. And then Michael talked about the nice part of this is that it's useful in telling the story of the improvement. We're kind of like what Karen just did. It's really a nice storytelling technique for change management. And Michael, do you want to take the last one and piggyback on that?
Sure. So yeah, and thank you, Karen. It certainly does create a baseline. You know, when you do have to make significant change, it really tells the story. It makes it very, very clear, like a run chart. You know, makes sense out of the data. The time ordering of it is visual, right? And it gives you the bird's eye perspective. So it really does give you a good tool to communicate, a good tool to see everything, and then the baseline from which you can show the improvement. Because in our business, of course, you know, we're not going to go down to any of our areas. I'm not going to go into the treatment center and find hours, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I just found 3 hours of wasted turnover time. Well, maybe if you look at all the rooms. So this really helps you find the minutes that add up very, very quickly.
That's great. Excellent. Well, this was great. Any last words before we jump to the next thing we want to cover?
I don't have a template. I just Googled it.
I know you did. I know you did. We talked about that. But we want to find out where you Googled it, because I like that. I liked the one specifically where you had the times, and we'll talk, Karen.
Oh, the time observation sheet I created.
Okay, well, there you go. All right.
Okay.
That's the one. And if we don't have it, we can brand it. We can come up with one, so it's fine. All right, so now what I'd like to point out a couple of things. We do have a survey at the end. I think Selena is going to share with all of us. But before we do, you all still have the link to the mural. I'd like you to go in and put in some Post-its. We'll take about 3 minutes of I like, I wish, I wonder. This is something we do every meeting, because what we do is we take this feedback and we roll it into the next meetings. So if you've been with us from the beginning, you've seen that this meeting has evolved and changed based on feedback that we've received. We see that as extremely valuable. So every time we do this, it's like we're doing another PDSA. So this is our feedback opportunity, or your opportunity to give us feedback. We do meet between each of these meetings to talk about the feedback and then make adjustments based on that. Also, at the bottom of the screen, I have included all the slides. So if you want to go back and look at the slides, all of the information from the meeting, including all of our notes, are there. So it's a resource for you. This This will continue to be here. I don't plan on deleting it. So keep that link and come back and visit it if you'd like. So all of that is there for you. Okay, so we'll take maybe a minute and a half more, and then I'll pass it to Selena for the survey. Back to stop sharing. All right, so Selena, it looks like, yeah, looks like there's a few people still commenting, but we can move on to the next one.
Okay, so we heard that Tuesdays may not be the best day to have our meeting, so we just want to offer more. We heard that Wednesdays and Thursdays from our previous survey works better for most, so I'm just gonna launch a poll for the last Wednesday and Thursday of the month and see what works for everyone for next month, and we can send that invite out.
All right. Selena, thanks for launching the poll. And hopefully everyone had a chance to respond and give their best days and times. Oh, there we go. There's our results. Best days and times for our next meeting. And big thank you to Karen today for a great presentation and giving us a good excuse to use the spaghetti background. So I might have to keep mine for the time being for sure. And also thanks for completing our I wish I wonder. We'll definitely use that in the planning of our next sessions and going forward to keep these meetings informative and fun and just effective for everyone showing up. And other than that, thanks again for everyone coming. As a reminder, we have the Lean Academic Conference that Jesse highlighted at the beginning of our meeting. We'd love for everyone to register. Again, it'd be a great opportunity just to be around a community of improvers and to continue enhancing your improvement skills and see what other really cool things the rest of our community is working on. And thank you for sending that link for the conference there. You can check out the website at leanhealth@stanford.org. And Marcelo, as a note on your question about other meetings and learning resources, Ryan is actually currently working on a SCIP website for us where you'll be able to find all of this information. So as soon as that's complete and done with marketing, we can send that out to everyone. And then additionally, you can find other improvement resources at the Stanford Medicine Improvement Committee's website, which you can find online. either by Googling or on the internet. And they have resources to the different performance improvement programs, but also really nice improvement videos as well that you can check out.
So for the website, just real fast, I put it in there. It's if you go to this Stanford Medicine Center for Improvement website, I think that's what it is. I'm doing it by memory. So if that takes you somewhere that you shouldn't, it's not my fault. It is my fault, but it's okay. Go in there, and I added a link to the main page that at the very top. That's SCIP. So go in there and take a look. I really like your feedback. It's really rough draft right now. So, but I would love to hear what you'd like to see on it, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, all of it. Give me your feedback, and then I can work with our marketing group to make it even better. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. And with that, does anyone have any questions or comments before moving on?
Everybody's having spaghetti tonight, I can tell. Throw a little sauce on that back there. Sauce on some meatballs.
I am. We're having pasta carbonara a little bit. So we're having like spaghetti noodles with the carbonara, not
You
the
have
rest.
to. I mean, my stomach's growling right now.
It's true. It's good stuff. All right. Thank you, everybody. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Good job,
Bye.
Karen.